Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the City Council work session on the Meadowood Sports Complex Master Plan discussion and priorities for the 2025 budget year. I just want to let everyone know that we're going to have this presentation discussion. Erin's going to lead us, and Cindy. And I see we have Parks Board members here. And if we have time at the end and everyone, the council's finished, then we will take public comment if we have time. Is that okay with you all, council? All right. Great. Just want to make that announcement so those of you that are here to address the council know. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Erin and Cindy to take us through all this.
Good evening, council. Tonight we're going to have a work session on Meadowood Master Plan costs and priorities. What we're going to do tonight is I've asked Cindy to go through our project plans and identify all of the key priorities that were identified in the master plan study itself. And then once we go through all of that so that you can have a complete overview, then we're going to jump in on staff identified priorities that we've heard from the community and also from staff recommendations, and then look at some costs and direction for going forward. So with that, I'm going to let Cindy go ahead and kick us off. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and council members. So at your seat up there, you'll see that we've come up to get put together maybe a document that you can read a little bit easier than the master plan. What it has is the project area, the rendering of the area that it's addressing, along with the budget that goes with that. So I'll go through each project area 1, 2, and 3, and just highlight the capital projects that are highlighted in those areas. So project area 1 is really the pickleball courts, tennis courts, the infrastructure for the parking lots, the 230-foot baseball fields, the hockey rink, and then also the relocation of the entrance, and then developing the access, or the emergency access, because we only have one way in and out right now. So we would like to add an additional in and out. So in project 1, it's kind of exciting because it's a mix of new facilities and replacement of old facilities, and then incorporating the access and the parking that goes along with them. There is the drainage infrastructure that's included in here for the ball fields. And then for the hockey rink, it's the chiller system, and the locker rooms, restrooms, parking lot, warming huts, and then the roof. Moving to project area number 2, it's not quite as big, but it is impactful, because what it does is it takes our existing synthetic turf multi-purpose fields and replaces that synthetic turf. It also repairs the retaining wall on that end that's along the trail, and creates ADA accessibility, and then also the centralized playground, and then incorporates a smaller parking lot that will meet the needs of the multi-purpose synthetic turf, and then also help with parking up above. Project area 3 addresses what we call now as Panther Field. That has improvements with that, along with that would include bleachers, ADA access, restrooms, concessions. But that turf field is also needing to be replaced. So this area incorporates the replacement of that turf, and then takes our upper fields, which is our natural turf fields, fixes the drainage issue that we have up on the top, and then if so desired, natural turf fields. Synthetic turf fields for that. Also, in each one of these project areas incorporates lighting in our parking lot, lighting on our playing facilities, which will help expand our playing season and our playing time frame in a single day. With that, do you have any questions at this time, or I can hand this over to Erin?
Council, any questions for Cindy? Terry?
Cindy, would Kip or anybody have any idea what the cost is of water at Meadowood?
I would have to work with utilities to find out what that is. I don't even have a rough number for you tonight on that, but I can get it for you and get back to you if that's helpful.
Yeah, I just didn't know if they could break it out like that, just. Cause it seems
I can
like
work
putting
with Kip.
turf fields down is gonna save money. On one hand.
I think Kip can identify that number. I thought I think he'll be back shortly, so we can.
If
we-
not, I
we
can
could
get
see.
that answer and get back to you on that.
Yes.
Anything else before we move to Aaron? Thank you. Aaron?
All right, thank you. I'm gonna pull up my presentation real quick here. There we go. Okay, so thank you, Cindy, for putting all these sheets together and also for walking us through it that way. Essentially, what we did with project one is we looked at what were the biggest desires of the community, what were the loudest participants that we heard during the engagement process, and what is it that we're hoping to accomplish with this study. So as a staff, we looked at that and we determined that the priorities, these are not in order. The priorities that we heard the loudest were a roof and refrigeration for the ice rink, pickleball court repurposing, tennis courts in replacement of the pickleball courts that would be misplaced there, multi-purpose ball fields, and then parking. So those seem to be the biggest items that we heard the loudest and the most frequently. And then, of course, anything that we do with these items would require site preparation and dirt work. So there's infrastructure cost that we've been talking about. I know Councilmember Harvey has asked about that a few times. So when we take those priorities and we look at what that would cost and how that would look here. So if we look at the ice rink, a roof on the ice rink would be about 1.85 million. And of course, all these numbers are estimates. We would have to go out for an RFI and get actual numbers and actual timelines on these projects. So right now in the plan itself, they have 1.85 for the roof and about 325 for refrigeration. I'm told that the refrigeration cost could vary depending on how extreme we go with the refrigeration. Is that right? Determining how many months we could actually get out of the rink. Is that right? Yep.
I think that the cost of running the refrigeration would for the longer you run it into a warmer season, the more utilities are, but I don't know that putting the plumbing system in makes a difference.
Okay, so it's not about the cost to put it in up front, it's the electricity cost or
Yeah.
gas cost after.
The operations of it, correct.
All right, that's helpful. The pickleball courts, resurfacing the existing courts is 22,000. That's the estimate that we have there. But if they're going to redo the fencing and lighting and everything else, that's an additional 125,000 in this plan. That does seem a little bit low, but we wouldn't know until we go out and get an RFI and see how much it's actually going to be. Parking and repaving in the plan, they have that at 564,000. There's definitely some grade for anybody who drives out there regularly from the lower lot to the upper lot. So we know that there's definitely some grading that would have to be redone. There's earthwork. There's quite a bit there. To make the tennis courts over how they have it in the plan, the concrete pad is 300,000. The fencing is 34,000. And then doing the site prep and all that dirt work, they're estimating about 155,000 for that. And then the multi-purpose ball fields that Cindy showed on this first example here, the turf is about 800,000. Then it would add a dugout, fencing, lighting, and then the site prep would be about another 300,000 there. So my first question is, according to council's purview here, do we have the right priorities listed up here? Are these the items that you've also been hearing and seeing as we've been going through this process? Is there anything we're missing? Is there anything that's up there that shouldn't be?
Football fields. Sorry. I think overall, just based on what we learned from our open houses and the feedback we got on the original master plan itself, I think phase one is pretty close to being what at least I heard from the priorities. There's a lot of hockey and a lot of pickleball, and I know both of those groups are very eager to see improvements. So.
I did have a question. I think, Aaron, I asked you last week. Are there going to be lights over there where the soccer fields are now? Or that's not in the future?
So the intent is to have all of our playing fields lit with the redevelopment of the park.
Okay.
But phase one doesn't include that though, right?
Correct. And I think
Phase one wouldn't include the multi-purpose turf field at this point, but when you get into project area 2, that would incorporate that.
Okay, thank you, Cindy.
Well, my question is, are these sequential or are these, is this a menu list? Project area 1, 2, or 3? Do they have to happen in sequence or could we pick and choose? Because when I look at the cost of 1 and 3, those to me are going to require a bond.
Yeah.
So what can we do without a bond? Would that be project area number 2?
that actually is what I've identified up on the screen here. These are the items that I think we can do without a bond. I think that we can accomplish these key areas, including the new parking and the new working of the roadway, fixing some of the grading, doing the earthwork to make the new tennis courts and the new multi-purpose fields. I think we can do all of this. I think the total cost of all of this is about 4 million. And so between the fund balance that we have, hopefully community donations towards these projects from the fundraisers themselves, and then also grants that we can get available, I think that we probably can get really close on this depending how the RFIs come back.
So
But
that
it
is,
wouldn't include all of project one.
Right.
These are items we picked out of project one
yeah,
to identify.
so the
Okay.
projects really are irrelevant.
Well, I think they picked the projects. I'm not exactly sure as the determination for that, but I think I wouldn't say they're irrelevant, but they definitely go in a sequential order. It would take many years for us to be able to do the next phases.
Well, what I see is that you're presenting to us a project area with these priorities. And what I'd like to see is what the total cost of this project area, which is kind of like 1A, I guess.
Yes.
And then what we could anticipate in grants. And I don't ever count on community donations. I mean, that's wonderful when they occur, but
It's gravy, yeah.
yeah, what can we afford with this project area 1A?
Absolutely.
And would we have to do a COP? Or are we gonna eat into our reserve?
I would never bring a budget where we have less than the 20% reserve unless that was the
Okay.
direction.
That's important, thank you.
So this, when I'm looking at this from our fund balance perspective now, I think we have about somewhere in the range of about 2.8 million that we could put towards this project if council desired to do so. And then if we combine that with grants that we can obtain, and then if there are community donations, then this could go a lot further. If the RFI comes back and we don't get any community donations, then this would have to shrink a little bit. And so that's where if council likes these items and thinks that these are the priority and would like to move forward in at least obtaining the information so that we can make a decision going forward, then I would ask that we give direction so that we can go out and do an RFI, see what the actual cost comes back for this portion. And then I would come back with a recommendation and a supplemental to ask to put this in practice.
So just to be clear, Aaron, none of this includes like the earthwork or any of the drainage infrastructure, right?
This includes the earthwork to do the ball fields
Oh, it
and the
does,
tennis court, and then also to do the repaving and reconstruction of
Parking lot.
the parking lot.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And it
I'm sorry.
adds additional parking from what we have now.
Okay,
Well, it adds additional asphalt parking. Because right now we have quite a bit of dirt parking.
yeah.
We have a spot
We have a
and,
spot.
and you make your way.
Well, going forward, this is what I would like to see priced out and what the source of revenue would be for this option.
Okay, excellent.
I would agree. So, yeah, so do I. And I don't have any problem with this approach, although I will say that the grant question seems to be a bit of an unknown. So I think there's a reality check a little bit here on that part of, we don't know what grant options are gonna be there till we actually go out and seek them. So when I look at this priorities list, I'm already thinking, okay, we can pay for X out of the fund balance. We need grants and quote unquote community donations, which with the rest of council, I wouldn't necessarily count on that as a revenue stream. But we're at some point, we're gonna need to figure out what grant opportunities there are so we can figure out what the delta is between what we see up there and what we can actually pay for out of the fund balance.
Just to share, I know that we have, and recently the Avenger Open Space is a good example. We've been working with these grant providers for 30 years. And we have a very good reputation, and very rarely have we been declined a grant that we've applied for our recreation areas. So I feel comfortable and confident that we would be successful. At what level, I'm not sure, but I think that, and I think Cindy would agree with me on that. We have got a great relationship with them and have really demonstrated some awesome projects that they're very proud of. So I feel very comfortable and confident that we would be successful in the grant space.
And if I could, I would just add to that, a lot of grantors are now looking at your partnerships and projects.
Regional.
And this shows great community support and great partnerships. And it is a regional park. It's not just a small park or a park that just serves Woodland Park. It serves the whole entire region, and they're looking for that as well. So I think we have a lot going for us with this project. But I agree, you never know. You don't know what you're competing against, but there's always another cycle to apply again.
And with having done the master plan study, definitely gives us a leg up. But I think after we get the RFI, we can actually determine
Yeah,
what it is.
That's kind of my challenge when I look at this is until we know, this is all theoretical. And so I certainly support getting some more concrete answers, so to speak, around these numbers.
All right, excellent. Is there anything missing on here? I just want to make sure that when we go out and do this, this is what we want. That this is not.
I mean, I don't, missing may not be the word I'd use. The only thing I'd say is from a facilities use standpoint, and I know that Panther Field comes in on on project area 3 on this, but I can't tell you from a high school baseball standpoint and just in general, Panther Field not being fully turfed and having those dirt sections is a serious impact on the playability and the seasonability of that facility. So while, you know, if you flip to the third line, you start looking at the cost of fixing that remedy, it gets very expensive very fast. So like I said, I hate to say it's missing out of this, but when I think of things that I know we need, that does come pretty quickly into my head for what it's worth.
And which items specifically do they need right away? Which ones?
Really, the main impact that we have over there is when it snows in the spring, the field becomes unusable, not because you can't clear the snow off the turf, but everything else turns into mud.
Okay.
And so, you know, the whole thing needs to be redone. So I'm not necessarily advocating we just fix the dirt spots, so
Okay.
to speak, but
So it's more of a redesign that's needed.
yeah, in some ways. And that's why I said, you know, it comes in on project area 3, but you know, if we wanted to look for ways to improve the availability of the facility in general, that comes to mind really quick.
Okay, absolutely. Is that the 375,000 line for the drainage under the baseball field? Or drainage along the baseball field, I'm sorry.
One,
Project area
3.
3. I just want to make sure I have the right cost and I'm looking at the rate.
well, if you're looking at drainage improvements and retaining wall repair, that's gonna be by the blue field that goes down to the turf multipurpose field.
Okay, it looks like it's,
Drainage along the baseball field is 375,000.
is that Panther Field?
That's what, yes,
Okay,
that's what I would assume by looking at this. Also, I mean, if we're gonna get bids on something, if it's really just putting turf on Panther Field and you're gonna turf the 230 foot, it might be worth looking at to see if we can incorporate that into this portion
that's
as
what I'm
well.
thinking as well, yeah.
What is,
Is this turf, natural turf or artificial turf, this 800,000?
Synthetic.
Synthetic, okay. But the improvements that Councilman Gear is talking about would need to be added to this.
Yes.
And that goes
Correct.
back to my concern that we make sure the infrastructure is there before we put the frosting on the cupcake.
Understood.
And
Yeah.
I have no issues with that approach whatsoever. I think you got to build a solid foundation before you can put things on top of it. So, I think that has to come first no matter what.
Okay.
I was just looking at this from a priority standpoint. I see from my perspective, I agree infrastructure comes first. Then I think it's kind of a split between ice rink, pickleball, tennis and parking. And then the multi-purpose side of that, I see an opportunity there to maybe shift some of those responsibilities more towards the Panther Field side,
Okay.
to improve its playability. Cindy, I'm curious what your thoughts on that are.
Well, I think it's necessary to have the 230-foot fields,
Mhm.
and that's why they're in the master plan. It's a size field that we're missing in
Okay.
our inventory. And it can accommodate our younger ages in baseball, also girls softball, and then also take on the younger ages in soccer.
So
it
it would
can serve a
improve your
lot of-
programmability.
Yeah, it
basically.
can serve many different areas
Okay.
of play.
Fair enough.
But thank you for asking.
Yeah.
I would like for us to base priorities on where we're gonna get the biggest bang for our bucks. And I know we got an email from one of the citizens about it being called the hockey rink when instead it should be called an ice rink, and that has a lot of potential to, they have tournaments, that kind of thing. I'm with Cindy on those ball fields for programmability for Parks and Rec. So those kinds of things to me is how I would like to prioritize.
Excellent. I agree. I think the ice rink has so much potential being enclosed. I think,
Do we
or
have,
not enclosed, but covered.
do we have a relationship with any local hockey associations? I know we did in the past.
Oh,
Some of
we
them,
did.
Sure, okay.
Yes, the Woodland Park Hockey Association is still very much our partnership in the maintenance and usage of the rink that we have. in
Yeah,
Underwood.
is that a source of revenue that we can?
Yes, but,
Leverage.
and they have done so much work
Mhm.
and
They'd like to
got
have-
donations, and I know there's a core. The electric company was gonna donate $100,000 for improvements. They just got a new scoreboard. They put up flags and things.
The walls and glass too.
So I
And
would say
they've
they've
done
been
this-
partners of ours for probably close to 15 years. I don't know that for exact, but they certainly have worked side by side with the city for multiple years, providing maintenance, not just for their own program, but for the whole entire community.
Mhm.
And I would say that areas where we do have, good relationships and good support, those definitely should be prioritized. So I don't have any issues with that whatsoever.
Yep.
All right. So then,
this down so I can see how accurate you are.
yeah.
Yeah, so
The real numbers.
Thank you.
I certainly think we need to get those real numbers, but I would love to know as part of that process, though, what the Panther Field fixes would cost.
Absolutely. So we can add that into the RFI to make sure that we get that captured, and then we'll bring it back and see what fits.
Cool.
Anything else, Cindy? Anything else you wanted to add before?
I just wanted to let Councilman Smith know that the multi-purpose turf field, when that will be turfed again, it will have those football lines on there for you.
They're gonna look good.
They don't look too bad right now.
No, they certainly don't. They certainly don't. All right, okay, so I think we have clear direction on what we're gonna do next. So in the budget, I will program in our capital reserve line. I will put a placeholder for the max amount I think that we can put in there for this, and then we'll have to figure out the rest when we get the bids back. If council doesn't mind, I'd like to transition a little bit to talk about Avenger, if that's okay, or
Please.
is that okay?
Yes, please.
All right. Do you want to talk just about some of the needs and things that you think we're going to be looking at for next year?
So,
Maybe our current grant process to start with that one.
so certainly our current grant process, we have the acquisition grant that is still outstanding, but we'll be able to close on that as soon as we get complete access through the Forest Service and then finish determining our conservation easement, what we want to have on that property before we actually close on that conservation easement. Once we close on the conservation easement, we'll be able to submit our report to GOCO, and I have no doubt that we'll be given the funds in return that they had promised to us. We have also applied for a youth corps grant that will be announced in December of 2024 for a 2025 project, and that is to develop trails. So they will go through, they'll clear and grub and develop those trails for us, and our Teller Trails team and the Woodland Park Trail Task Force have been working very closely with Medicine Wheel on determining what those trails will look like. They're not set in stone right now, but it was something that we needed to submit with the grant. So that would be a 2025 project along with fire mitigation, which is a grant that I think you know more about than I do, Aaron.
Yes, I can speak on that a little bit. So we are in the planning stages right now with the co-swap grant that we received. About $500,000 of that is going to go towards fire mitigation for Avenger property. So that's going to be very exciting, and we're hoping to get that started pretty soon. We're working with a couple of community partners. We have Teller County, of course, is helping that with their EMS. So we're all working together right now to get that launched, and we are ready to go with that. But yeah, I think between the trail mitigation piece and then with the co-swap piece, it's gonna be in pretty good shape.
Yeah, and then I would look to the park board to see if they had anything more they wanted to add to the Avenger.
Yeah, I don't know that we have all that much more to add. I think,
Jeff, could you come to the microphone, please?
Or the microphone's coming to him.
Oh, they're coming to you. Isn't that convenient?
hi, Jeff Webb, I'm Chair of the Parks Board, better than just the guy shouting from the back of the room now. So, I don't know, we have all that much more to add with Avenger. I just, again, remain so complimentary of the efforts you all have put in, the city's put in. I think the wildfire mitigation grant is going to be a huge step. If we can get the youth corps, I've worked with them in the past, those crews can be excellent and really give us a good step forward in terms of developing some of the trails. So I think that's going to go a really long way. So we've acquired the property, we're going to care for it properly through fire mitigation and then develop these recreational amenities. So I think it's off to a really good start. And then we have groups like Teller Trail Team and community volunteers who are there to help as well. So, I mean, let's keep the pedal to the metal, and sometimes momentum begets momentum. So I think we should continue to look for grants and opportunities, but Avengers is a great space. So thank you all.
So I had a question. I don't know. It's probably for you, maybe. What is the plan to increase parking? Because parking is pretty limited up there, is it not?
Well, directly right at the top of Kings Crown is fairly limited.
Yeah.
But what I foresee is using the parking area that is at Kings Crown and Sun Valley. And then we own the Paradise open space that runs behind those homes that actually connect to Avenger. So take the trail from that parking lot there that's large and semi-developed. We'd have to develop it more, but semi-developed, and then start our trail system there and bring it over to Avenger.
Okay, thanks.
Cindy, what's the timeline on the conservation easement?
So we first need to acquire full access from the Forest Service. We're still looking to get about 180, 200 feet from them. I know that they're in their budget season right now, just getting done with their summer season. And so I suspect that, I think what they told us last year when they were working with us is that spring of 2025 is when we can expect to have that access. And then during this time frame, sitting down with the park board and determining the items and the location of the items that we want to have in that conservation easement, and working with Palmer as well.
Thank you.
Sure.
Would I be out of line to speak one more time?
Please do.
Okay, all right, thank you. So um, So as I say, I mean, I think the momentum is really, really moving in the right direction. You know, long-term, for a really high-functioning open space property like Avenger, I think there are additional things we want to look at. So I don't want to give the impression that everything is done. So things like wayfinding, educational elements so that schools can go out there for field trips, benches. I mean, I think there's a lot of additional elements that with time, I think should be a priority. So I do want to say that. I think we're in such a good spot, but the continued focus that council has and staff, and I know it's a lot on staff right now to manage this. So I think in the future, thinking about how we can grow and really take care of our open space is important. But yeah, this is step one and a super important step one, and then we can layer in all the frosting as we go forward.
And
Thank
the
you.
amenities that Jeff spoke of are those are the type of things that we need to identify. And then not just the items, but actually the locations for those conservation easements, so that while we're waiting on the full access to the property, we can be putting that together, so then we can wrap this up as quickly as possible.
The fire mitigation grant we have, is that sufficient to mitigate all of Avenger, or is it only a part?
The biggest chunk of that grant is for Avenger, so I believe from my understanding, it should take care of Avenger. The upfront, and then of course it'll grow back.
Mitigation never ends.
Yes, I am really excited about the community partnerships though, and some of the other organizations that we've reached out to as part of this. I'm pretty excited that we're gonna get a lot done.
And you're already planning for Cindy's swing?
That's, you know, we have the list, that's priority.
It's better than a statue.
Cindy's legacy.
And I think as we do think about Avenger in the long term, I think we are gonna need a trails position. I think we are gonna need additional maintenance and things. I don't know that we're necessarily there just yet, but I do think that in the near future, we will be at that point. I personally would like to see us get through some of the mitigation and this planning up front. We may need a consultant or something else for this conservation easement. We need to make sure we get that right. But as far as positions go, I don't know that we're there, but I know in the future, we probably will need that if we're gonna maximize that. And I think that's what Jeff is alluding to, and I think he's right.
And that trails position though would be for our entire trail system. though, not just-
Absolutely, yes. So. All right, any other questions on the master plan or Avenger? Just wanna make sure we have everything right in the budget.
When's the ribbon cutting?
That will be Monday, October 14th at 2:00. Yes, please. Yes, please.
Please, carpool.
I will also mention that in my reports, as far as events, I have it on my list, because that's a big one. Anything else, council, or Aaron?
All right, well, thank you very much. We got done a little earlier than I expected.
All right, well,
Well,
with.
Maybe
go
one
ahead.
more thing. Can we talk about Bergstrom Park at all since Cindy's here? Or-
Absolutely.
Yeah, let's go there.
Absolutely.
I don't know what you might be able to relay to people, or Cindy, what you might be able to talk about yet, but.
So I can tell you what I know, which is not a whole lot, but I have I have reached out to a consultant and asking for a bid from them. I'm asking for just a master plan, also with schematics, and then possibly with the construction drawings, just to see what those costs are.
Mhm.
So we're waiting to get those numbers. I was expecting them today, but it's not the end of some person's day yet. So I'm hoping to have them by early next week and have
Awesome.
some numbers on that.
Okay.
And Cindy, that does include the community engagement component to what that looks like?
For the consultant in the plan, yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Sure.
Yes, and yeah, and the DDA did make a big announcement at their meeting on Tuesday that they will pay for half of the master plan up to $25,000. So that was excellent partnership there. So we're very excited about that. Yeah, so we're ready to get started as soon as we can.
All right, if there's nothing else, council or staff, I will ask the audience if there's anyone that would like to address the council with regards to our work session this evening. Yes, sir. If you would just please come to the podium and tell us your name and where you're from, or what city you're live in? You don't have to give us your whole background.
How are y'all doing? My name is Chris Filaro. I live here in Woodland Park. I want to kind of jump on Jeff's idea about the kind of dropping the turf in for Panther Field. Because the turf's in pretty bad condition out there. The outfield is really not as uneven, could be dangerous. I don't want to get any players hurt. And then, yeah, we're just super excited about this project with the baseball stuff going on. I'm a huge baseball fanatic. I think the program could, y'all's changes here could be a good revenue stream for the city with tournaments and things like that. And I know that our town is beautiful. Why not get people up here that may not have never even thought about coming up here? If we get them up here and get some teachers and some businesses moving up here and kind of get that whole revenue stream going and get a little bit more stuff up here. But I think Panther Field definitely needs some attention, and I'm talking with the high school teams and stuff and everything, and we would just love to kind of be a part of that, whatever we can do to help. We've been trying to do some fundraising. I just found out about this project a couple of weeks ago. I've reached out with Cindy and kind of got plans for it, and I'm super excited about it. I think that it could be a really good thing for us. Additionally, lights would be great on Panther Field because I know like the JV team, whenever they play, because they play after the varsity, they only get like 2 or 3 innings in. They don't even get a full game because it gets too dark. So yeah, I mean, I'm all for everything. The hockey, everything looks great. I think the park now is already amazing. The plans y'all have to change it and make it even better is kudos. I love it. So thank you.
Bet, thank you. Great ideas. Appreciate you sharing. Anyone else? Come on in. Mr. Hockey, is that your name? Or are you Mr. Ice Rink?
I'll take both, but
Okay.
hi, I'm Jeremy Gibson,
Hi,
born
Jeremy.
and raised in Woodland Park area. This is exciting to see these plans from what Meadowood was when I was a kid. The rink we've been talking about with Cindy, we've had architectural plans for about 10 years. So this is a huge thing for us. I just want to say the hockey community gives back hundreds of hours to the community. We're making ice. There's times people are there at 2 a.m. so that we have ice ready for Christmas, for Skate with Santa, for the community. And we're here from November through March when we have ice. So it's a huge thing for the city. We help the city clear the snow. It seems to snow on Friday nights during hockey season only. So we're helping clear that to help prioritize to get it open. But we host tournaments that we bring people in from as far as Arizona. We have a team that comes out every year. And we have 9 teams that travel, that stay in our hotels, that eat at our restaurants. They come in Thursday night, usually stay through Sunday. So big money maker for the city, buying hats and gloves even. So if we have more ice, we can do more of that for the city and giving back. So thank you guys for listening, for working on this. Thank you, Cindy, and your team for all the work. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. More great ideas. Anyone else like to address the council? Yes, sir. Please. If you just give us your name and the town you live in, that'd be really great.
Yeah, I'm Mark View. I live here in Woodland Park. Jamie and I
Welcome.
have been friends for ages, coaching baseball, soccer, a lot of things together. I help run a baseball program that basically bridges the gap between what we have in Parks and Rec and our high school program. So 13 to 15-year-olds, competitive baseball. Your old mayor, Mr. Levy, was instrumental in getting my kids involved in competitive baseball. And I know it was his dream that we would build a program that would continue to feed high quality players and good young men and good young women who play this sport in high school. So I'm excited that I just kind of found out about this plan. You'll have to forgive me. I don't really track with some of this stuff, but I just want to say thank you for the improvements on Panther Field. It's an important piece of the puzzle. I mean, we have a really good, solid program for kids that are kind of under 13, but once kids get to be freshmen and 8th graders, we need to continue to kind of build that program, and Panther Field is the place to do that. So I appreciate what you've done so far, and I hope we can find ways to keep making it better. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Ramsey, please.
Mr. Pickle.
Mr. Pickleball, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to call you by the
Mr.
wrong
Ice
name.
rink, we have Mr. Pickleball.
Mr. Pickleball, welcome.
Good evening, council, Parks and Rec, city management. Just want to say this plan is very good. I was part of the project advisory committee. And I've also been part of the 2030 master plan for parks, trails and open spaces. And we've come a long ways together in developing this plan. I just want to say on behalf of Pickleball Above the Clouds, also another PAC synonym that we use, that we're excited. Cindy and I for Parks and Rec, if you want to help the youth, there's really no youth program here in Woodland Park for the youth that are wanting to learn pickleball. This would, the courts would allow the correct number to help do pickleball youth programs, possibly even pickleball leagues, possibly in the future, if you're looking at tournaments, having a tournament come up here. This is, I know, years down the road, but I just want to say thank you. Also, I heard a comment earlier, and I would say if you can move the hockey ring and look at from Project 3 and somehow fit it into Project 1 also. I know that the Hockey Association for years has been working and giving back to the city. Also, just to let you know, our small nonprofit, we do monitor the courts because we use them a lot, and we're trying to keep some of there's been some strange things happen out there. We've seen them on the courts, just trying to keep people ran off that are no good, doing no good. And also in the wintertime, for us that are diehards that play outside, we do have a MOU with the city where we do clean and remove snow from the courts at Meadowwood also. So I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Mayor, I do have someone online.
Okay. go
Michael
ahead.
Jordan.
Oh, nice. All right.
Michael
We're
Jordan.
attracting some celebrities now.
Can
Maybe
you
we can
promote-
fundraise.
Is it
What do you think?
Mr. Basketball? is on
Mr.
there.
Basketball.
Michael Jordan's online.
Mr. Jordan, go ahead when you're ready. I know.
Yep, he's there.
I have that effect on
We
people.
just need you to unmute, sir.
Mr. Jordan, can you unmute for us so that we can hear you?
I just did. Can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you. You're
Hey,
loud
sorry
and
for
clear.
sorry for the delay. It's good old technology. It's so much fun. So, hey, but thank you for giving me a chance to talk here. I just let you know my wife and I are residents of Florissant, and we're avid tennis players, and we enjoy playing on the courts and having the pickleball next to us and so on. I just want to make sure that the board and council realizes there's still a lot of tennis players in our area. I know that pickleball gets a lot of hype right now, and as it should, that's fine. But I just want to make sure people realize that there's a lot of tennis being played. In fact, we have to wait for courts quite frequently to be able to play. And I rarely see anybody wait for a court with pickleball because it can fit more people per court. So just moving forward, I know I talked to Cindy about this. Any plans that are made and to transition to the new tennis courts, just make sure we have adequate tennis courts available for all of us that do play the old sport moving forward. That's all I would ask, just from the community of tennis players in our area, if that makes sense.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Well, thank you for the time. And I do have to say too, real quickly, that I've retired from healthcare, a career in healthcare for 34 years. And the Parks and Rec for Woodland Park is fantastic because it's such a driver for health outcomes, good health outcomes for the community at large. And I think even for grant writing, I used to do quite a fair amount of that, that if you go at that angle and leverage the fact that we have a more active community, more healthy, fit community, that works very well for grant writing. And I think it's just good for all of us for health purposes, for what it's worth. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? All right. Thanks, everyone, for the input. We appreciate it. Anything else you'd like to address, council? And I do want to say to Mr. Rumsey, I do believe that the hockey is in programming for this phase. And so is tennis as well. So I think everyone's everyone that spoke about something is incorporated in this phase one. So you're here. Thank you. Aaron, you have anything else?
I have nothing more.
Council, anything else? All right, then I think we're finished with this work session. We have 45 minutes till our meeting.
Sorry about that.
It's okay. It's better to have too much time than not enough.